everyone's got their own story, and it's kind of cool because being in live production or just in the touring industry in general is something that you don't have like a set path. You kind
Yeah.
of just like find your way and do
Hmm.
it. And for me, I mean, like I was in a band and touring when I was like 17. Um, like I like I didn't drop out of school because I graduated a year early. So I just left home at 17 to go like join this like band of like I don't want to get into like drug dealing, like hood rat
Yeah.
kids, but we were in like a metal band. We
Mhm.
were like signed to a record label and stuff. So I did all that and I came back and my parents were like, after like a year or two, it's like 19, 18, 19. My parents were like, well, we saved up money for you for college since you were born. You can either go to college or we're gonna spend it on a yacht. So I was like, I'll take college.
That's
So
smart, dude.
but I had no idea what I wanted to go to, right? Like,
Yeah.
some kid that just came off a tour for 2 years and like, I was like, well, let me do music.
Yeah.
So I went to Orlando, Florida, because that's where I live in Florida right now. And I just like took this music and sound technology
Mhm.
2 year associate of science. So it was a credit degree, but
Yeah.
at Valencia College, which is like this state college. Um, and like I did my first year there, and it was cool. Like honestly, I kind of just fucked off a lot of it. Smoke weed, hang out with friends, go to bars and stuff. Even though I was like 19, 20, but then I just had like I'd like my freshman breakdown afterwards. It's like fuck, dude. Like I'm not doing good in my classes. Like I'm not really doing anything in like the field that I want to be doing. Like
Mhm.
I would just kind of like being some idiot in college, and I was like, all right, well, I looked around at everybody around me that was in school, and they weren't doing shit either. Everyone was like playing on their phone or like
Yeah.
like asking dumb questions in
Yeah.
class where it's like, all right, you're never gonna get this kind of thing. So I really put it into gear, and like one day I just typed up a resume which had zero audio shit in it. Like I pretty much like it was just like retail jobs from when I was a teenager and like that I go to college. Um, but like I walked up and down downtown Orlando and like submitted resumes to everybody. Like any bar, like I'm talking about bar, like a
Yeah.
bar, restaurant, fucking any there's some venues downtown. And not one of them even gave me a chance or an opportunity, except actually just one. I walked up to the social. You've been to the social before?
I have.
Downtown Orlando?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the long skinny one.
Yeah. Yeah.
um but I just like was walking there and with a handful of resumes, and this bouncer, it was like 4 p.m. This bouncer was like putting out barricades outside, getting ready for the show. And I just walk up, I'm like, hey dude, like is there like the sound guy or production people around? And just as I was saying that, this little short bald dude comes out, just smokes a cigarette, and he's like, yeah, it's that guy right there. So I walk up to him and I'm like, hey, I'm Zach. And I just give him my whole spiel and hand him a resume. And he's smoking a cigarette, looking at it, looking at me, looks back at it. And he's like, I'll be right back. Walks back inside, comes out like 10 minutes later. And he's like, hey, man, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, hey, this is it. And he's like, all right, well, doors around 7. So come about that time. I got you on the list plus one. And just come back behind the soundboard and like, you know, see what's up. And that was like a Lydia and Harvard show. So it was like I'm a huge indie fan. So that was
Yeah.
like the fucking greatest show for me. And I did. I just like I
And that was
went
your first experience, like doing
first ever.
sound.
Yeah,
Like
I'd
you've
never
never
like
done it,
I'd been in like recording studios before.
right?
But that was like my first
Yeah.
real like production
Yeah.
at some, downtown Orlando venue.
Yeah.
And from then on, like he just called me up every time he had a shift, and I would just like watch him, and then I would like go and wrap cables or like collect microphones or
Yeah.
like
Hey, you're
move pieces of equipment off. Yeah, I didn't get paid. I wasn't like an
yeah.
employee of the venue at all.
Right.
Um, and from there, like we just became best friends. We're still really good friends to this day. Shout out Peter Smith. Um,
Shout out,
but
Peter.
but I mean, from there, just kind of like your love and your interest kind of grows. So like I was like, well, what do I do next? And he's like, there's this company that you can work for, this corporate production that does like uh stuff in like Disney and Universal ballrooms for like corporate companies and whatnot. You can do that and they pay really well. It's a good
Mhm.
start. So I did that for a while, and then like I pushed really hard in school and like did really well. Won a few like competitions, like national wide competitions for studio work, and got like this studio internship with Il Levy of Audio Hammer, and he's most famously known now for Nail the Mix.
Mhm. Oh, yeah,
Il
yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, IL's sick, but I worked with him and John Douglas, and we did a lot of albums. I did like Monuments album, Whitechapel's drums, a lot of stuff for Alex Rudinger, uh, Battle Cross, like a bunch of stuff, like editing albums, doing drums and whatnot, getting to record um, people and like sit behind IL while he's like mixing and whatnot. So it was like that time really kind of like gave me that interest
Mhm.
and like a lot of experience to then like one day just go back to the social. And because like Facebook is how I get all my jobs mainly.
Yeah.
um
Yep.
so like someone tagged me in a post from the production manager of the social, and he's like, looking for an audio guy, anybody know somebody? So at this point I had like 2 years of production experience, and like I just walked back in there with my resume, sit down with him, and like I start going off my spiel, and he's just like, hold on, dude. He's like, these people, they say you're cool, you got the job. And I'm like, that's it?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you start tomorrow. And from there I just kind of like worked at the social, and then the Beecham, which is the 1500 cap room with like the big PA, the huge
Right.
Digico console and whatnot. And took over that venue for like 2 years, ran a lot of huge shows, like the Bayside and Say Anything concerts. We did like 3 days of Newfound Glory when they did like that's like small club tour.
A-side still
Um,
crushes it.
Dude, like I'm so stoked I got to see them. Like that show was way over capacity. Like it was terrifying how many people were in that building.
Way too many.
But to get to your original question after I
Yeah.
just went on that huge spiel
No, that's good.
was like that it's a whole journey, and like
Yeah.
it went from like, and I've done like a million other things in between that too, but it was a lot of like going to bars and like schmoozing and mingling with people, and like then going to production stuff at like 6 in the morning at Disney ballroom, and then like going to work at the venue at night, and then sometimes maybe being drunk or doing a little bit of drugs, and then like going to your church audio gig the next morning, which I eventually got fired from. But but it's a whole journey. And then
God
how
invented drugs, right? So I don't see what the big deal is.
I mean, I would fall asleep during the sermon.
How
So
can you not though?
that yeah, they would like throw things at me and be like, dude, you gotta fucking wake up. And I'm like, it's one microphone, it's good, man.
Good, man. Praise the Lord. But yeah.
But how we met, how you and I met was like I was working at the social in the Beecham for like 2 years, and it got to the point to where like every band had their own audio guy. And I was like,
Why am I even working?
what the fuck am I doing here? Like running
Yeah.
cables for people, setting up microphones and stuff, like giving them a board mix, and then they just go ahead and do it. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there behind them. So
That
I was like,
sucks.
this is not what I want to be doing. So um, a friend of mine who uh, just got me too'd, but so I won't mention his name, but
Good.
he
That's okay.
he gave me an opportunity. So with one of the bands that he works with, and he's like, you want to go on tour, you can do sound for this band, but you also got to tour manage them. And I'm like, I've never tour managed anything before. He's like, do you know he's like, have you ever babysitted anybody? I was like, I mean, I guess. He's like, same thing.
It
Yeah.
is. It really is.
So it ended up being like the Monster Energy Outbreak tour.
Wow.
And then yeah, from there, like I did that uh with like water parks and stuff like that. And then immediately moved, like during that tour, I got a gig with this Australian band, Chase Atlantic, and we did a few tours together. And then I was supposed to do Warped, but then a lot of shit fell through. And um I was scrambling to find shit because it was like the middle of summer, and then a homie links me to Alex, and
Mm.
he's like, "So and so hit me up to do this gig for them on this tour, and you know, I can't do it. I'm busy with Shakira over in Europe or whatever. Like, do you
Nice.
want this gig?" So I was like, "Sure, I'll take it," and ended up being Ballyhoo. So I
Nice.
linked up with Alex, and he's like, "Yeah, you know, you get good references from all these people. You got this experience, so let's do it." And then you guys picked me up at a fucking gas station in Florida, and it's been history ever since.
Dude, I remember exactly the day we met you. Like you came in, I guess we were like for a second we couldn't find you, and then like out of nowhere you just like popped out and then got in the van. And then I remember you being really like not aggressive, but like really just like, "Hey, how's it going?" Like, "Hey," and then like I think like 10 seconds and you're like, "So anyone want to smoke or something?" And I remember it's weird because like the younger me would have been like, "You're the coolest fucking dude in the world. Like, I can't wait to hang out with you." But I don't remember. I don't know if it was because it was like that kind of a tour or we had new crew members or whatever. But I remember sitting there just being like, "Oh my God, this guy is too much." But then like 5 minutes in, dude, I was all about it. I was like,
Yeah, I just
"This guy
remember
is totally
we
down."
were smoking. We had just started smoking or whatever, and you're like, "Yeah, I'm like, my friend's dog died today," and we're all like,
Yeah.
"Dude, what the fuck? Like, way to bring the mood
Yeah,
down. No one
dude.
wants to talk about a dead
I
dog."
know. Yeah.
Um,
I remember that now. What a turd I must have been. What like if that was me getting in the van and someone was like, "Man, yeah, my friend's dog died," I would have been like, "How did you
fuck
get
up this
into it?"
guy.